Hey everybody, it's me, Gregory Mannarino. How are you today? It is Friday, January 5th, 2018. People, I almost don't know where to start. How about this? As I am doing this video blog, stocks are at new intraday record highs. Are they going to finish at record highs? Well, that depends on what happens with the bond market. If it maintains its current trajectory, the bond market, which is about flat, I would expect stocks to hit another record today, but they're kind of struggling right now for direction. I mean, yesterday, the bond market was all over the place. It was getting bought up and then sold and then bought up and then sold. It's ridiculous. The dollar is struggling right now. The dollar needs to have a short-term rebound here. It's been bleeding off for weeks. I would not be surprised to see the dollar gain some strength here. I mean, it literally cannot continue. I guess it could on the trajectory it is. It's putting a little bit of pressure on metals right now. The dollar, I said, is struggling. It's up maybe fractionally. Junk bonds are being bought up, and that means the market wants to take on some risk. But people, the main event, the main show here is, again, it's the yield curve. And I cannot stress this enough. I mean, the Federal Reserve themselves, you remember I went off the deep end on Wednesday when the Federal Reserve said one of their concerns was what's happening to the yield curve? The Federal Reserve even talked about a possible yield curve inversion. Meanwhile, these imbeciles are the ones that are controlling what's going on here with the yield curve. If the Federal Reserve was really concerned about it, they would start normalizing their abnormal balance sheet faster, preventing a yield curve inversion or a further flattening, but they won't do that. Why? Because if they were to do that, that would put pressure on the stock market. They will not allow this to happen. It's a political tool right now. They're using the markets and as they're playing games with it. Good. Let them do that. You and I are going to capitalize on it, all well and good. But again, if we just have a little foresight, just look down the road a little bit, and if the Federal Reserve's concerns, not so much Greg Mannarino's now, are realized, and this yield curve continues to flatten out and inverts, well, look, history has already told us time and time again, without exception, not one exception, what will happen. Economic meltdown, stock market meltdown. But again, it just drives me crazy when I'm watching CNBC this morning. Don't ask me why I do that. I'm watching, it's on my trading platform. I got it set up. And they won't talk about it. It's like, oh, the stock market's at new intraday record highs. That's where you should be looking, people. Forget about what's happening to the yield curve, even though the Federal Reserve themselves is warning about it. It's unbelievable. It really is. I don't know another way to put it. People are just whistling past the graveyard to steal Jeffrey Gundlach's term. That's what he's, this is another guy that's out here trying to warn people about what's happening with the yield curve. Bill Gross. I mean, these are multi-billionaire, multi-billion-dollar hedge fund managers. So don't listen to Greg Mannarino about this. Listen to these guys. It's incredible. Listen to the Federal Reserve themselves warning about the yield curve. Meanwhile, they're the imbeciles that are driving it. It's unbelievable. It really is. Anyway, so that's really what we have to watch, people, moving forward, is this yield curve thing. And I can't imagine a scenario where it's going to get better. I believe it's going to continue to flatten out and more than likely invert. Because the Federal Reserve is too afraid to normalize their balance sheet at the pace that would be required to actually prevent an inversion. But they won't do this because they're trying to prop up the stock market that way. And the people are going to get slaughtered. Again, the euphoria associated with record high after record. Look at this whole year so far, A couple of days into it, we've hit records every single day. We'll probably hit a record today as well if the bond market decides it's going to stabilize. But keep your eye on it. You can watch this live right on my website, traderschoice.net. Just real quick before I let you go, I haven't talked about it in a while, but Bitcoin, they are bidding up the futures. They started last night, big time, bidding up those futures, and Bitcoin is following. Tail continues to wag the dog here. So, and it's just interesting to look at. Everything, people, is so gamed. It is so rigged. And it sometimes, like this morning, it gets under my skin a little bit. It really does. All right. With that said, I'm going to follow this up at the end of the day. Watch that bond market throughout the day. And I don't know. I'll keep you on top of what's going on. I'll see you after the market. Over and out.